What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Chau.com.
And we are here for a supersized film with Matt Damon, Downsizing.
Yes. From, I would argue, one of my, a director that I really enjoy. I probably wouldn't put him in my top 5, but I mean, his movies always tend to really surprise me. Alexander Payne brought us The Descendants, Punch Drunk Love. Oh no, that was Paul Thomas Anderson. The Descendants, About Schmidt.
Didn't see that.
He also did Elected. You know, a director that you probably not really familiarized your work. He did Sideways, Election, About Schmidt. No. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find another movie that she might have seen. Anyway, all movies that I really enjoyed. And now we have Downsizing, a movie that also was previewed at CinemaCon, one that got everyone's hopes up. It's Alexander Payne's Matt Damon. We have Christoph Waltz, and this really obscure, and Kristen Wiig, and Jason Sudeikis, and actually Chau, who's been getting a lot of buzz for her performance in this movie, about this really obscure idea that we could shrink ourselves and we'll do better for the environment, and it's called Downsizing.
And all the money you have, it's obviously cheaper to buy a huge home because everything's small.
Yes. So I know you've liked
so when I first saw trailer 1, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
And then trailer 2, they revealed that the wife doesn't downsize.
Yes.
And I was just like, you know, I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is gonna be a piece about your wife, or I think the wife left him.
Kristen
So
Wiig.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts because to me, this movie is like anticipation. Is like, bomb. I can't wait till it comes out in Vegas. I believe it's going to come out in Vegas on Christmas weekend, I believe.
At the end of
end of this month, excuse me, with The Showman. But Showman comes first. But I can't wait to watch this.
Well,
tell me.
Let me put your all your nerves on ease by saying I think you should downsize your expectations. Alexander Payne's Downsizing might have been one of the most upsetting movies of the year. I don't understand.
Oh, man.
And I know, like, you think you're waiting for me to just say, just kidding. No, I'm dead serious. I watched Downsizing, and it didn't feel...
Wait, did you like the trailers and previews?
When I saw it at CinemaCon, I didn't really. I mean, I'm sure I saw things in trailers, but I saw a decent amount at CinemaCon. And I was like, I'm in, and I'm just a fan of his work. And of course, Matt Damon is great, and Christoph Waltz, who I'm also a big fan of, and you know, Kristen Wiig, Jason Sudeikis. But at the end of the day, this is such a scattered movie that I would say, besides the first 20 to 30 minutes,
oh man.
The idea of downsizing isn't even relevant.
Oh, I thought that was so much fun.
Yeah, no, that's the problem, is that this is like 3 movies in one. The first 25-30 minutes is about the idea of downsizing, this revelation of being able to shrink yourselves and save the environment and all that, and then it becomes a story about Matt Damon finding someone, and all of this is happening, you kind of forget they're even downsized, and then the end kind of goes back to what we could do as humans to stop the earth, or if this is able to stop the environment and all that. And the element of downsizing, yes, things are small, but is it necessary to tell the story? Where you have the opening scene where you were talking about your wife leaves you, now you're small, you have to live in this really weird society, how do you deal with it, how do you deal with the differences? And that's explored in the first 20 minutes, but the rest of the movie you could have done without that. You don't even need the downsizing aspect. And that's the problem, is this feels like so many different movies.
Oh, man.
And just there's no energy. It's so scattered, it's hard to follow the rhythm. It's kind of like listening to a really, what could potentially be a really good song, like if you read a song on paper and then heard someone play it and they just kept missing the tunes. That's exactly how it felt. I will say Chau, an actress out of Thailand, who is in this movie, is probably the best part of the film, but I don't know much about her. And in the movie, she has a very thick accent, so much so that there were some people talking that it almost sounds like a stereotypical accent. But at the same time, I will admit my ignorance. I don't know if it's genuinely her accent or not. I hope it is, because if it's not, I think it really just kind of hurts the character. Because I think the reaction is to kind of like react to her like overly done accent in kind of like a jokey manner, and it feels kind of cheap. But if she really sounds like that, then that's a different story. But that my first reaction was, I wonder if that's her real voice, because if it is, okay. If it's not, it seems like she's like doing a very stereotype, like if she was doing an SNL skit and had to sound like that, and that's never good. But anyway, though, even through that voice or the accent, whether it be real or not, she was still really good. I mean, she really is the heart of the movie. I mean, I even heard some arguments for her for being nominated. I don't see that happening because the movie's not good. And granted, while I think she's the best thing about this movie, she still doesn't kind of match up to the other actors. But I would be excited, like, if you were like, okay, if you were going to buy a ticket from anyone else to this movie, I'd go see Chau's a movie before anyone else. Well, granted, I'd probably see Matt Damon and Alexander Payne's movie, but still, I'd be like, I'm interested in seeing where her career goes after this. Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig are in the movie for maybe 15 minutes in all.
Oh, okay. So basically, once
that part's out, they're all out. Yeah. And that's another thing. You have this really interesting story about him and his wife that's never revisited.
What about Damon?
Matt Damon, it's basically him and kind of Chau developing this relationship.
How was he?
Oh, he was fine, but his character is so all over the place too. And, you know, Christoph Waltz is fine. I mean, there's this really weird transition 2 times in the movie where we just go into these different worlds, it feels like. You know, not like literally, but I mean, just like we're in a different tone, we have this different pace, we're tackling this different idea, and of course the overarching connecting central theme is the environment, but I couldn't tell you that Downsizing told me much about the environment, or really kind of persuaded me to feel one way or the other. I don't think its execution of its theme was really strong. And if anything about Downsizing should have been strong is if you want to make this movie to tackle the idea of, you know, how great of a threat that humankind is to the environment, then you need to really kind of show that in all of your work, and that kind of just argues with itself the entire time. I mean, I'm sure there'll be people, and Alexander Payne, like diehards, that will say, you just didn't get Downsizing, you didn't understand, you know, but I'm telling you, it was just such a lackluster feeling, and at the end of the day, I was bored. I couldn't invest my emotions anywhere. I didn't really fall for any of the characters. I didn't feel invested in the story, and what is teased to be some kind of silly, playful idea goes into these really different directions that don't feel rewarding in the least. So I was not a fan of Downsizing. As fans of Alexander Payne and Matt Damon, I'd say go check it out, only because you're diehards, but out of all the great stuff coming out right now, depending on when you're seeing this, I'd really recommend seeing something
Billboards.
Else. 3 billboards outside of Missouri.
I,
Tonya, Lady Bird.
That movie about it's in space. The movie that's in space, the sticks.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. Moonfights.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's good.
Moonfights will be good, hopefully. Yeah. I forget the name. They have like a subtitle and I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Moonfights. The Last Vulcan?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's a good one.
Of course, if you aren't catching the joke, I know me and Chau think we're very funny.
Yeah,
you might not. But we're talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi. Don't know when you're seeing this review, but hopefully when you're watching this, you could find our Star Wars Last Jedi review on this YouTube channel or chasingcinema.com somewhere, because this is a movie we're both really excited. The Greatest Showman. What else? There's a bunch of stuff. It's award season when you're watching this, regardless of if you're watching it now when we're filming this or at the end of January. It's still award season, so relish in all the stuff. I'll make a fun playlist in that white eye when everything is released that you guys can watch all the good award stuff. But for me, Downsizing will not be a contender in any awards
Top
for 50? Me. No, definitely not. Top 50? Yeah, no. It was one of the most disappointing experiences I've had this year. Like, it was not good. So.
But the beautiful part is the movies will go on.
Yes, movies will go on, and of course I'm really open to hearing what you have to say. You know, of course this channel, as much as I want to tell you about these movies, of course it's created dialogue. So if you feel differently, I'd love to hear your opinion and what you think down below. But I'd be really interested in seeing how you go about this one.
Until then, chasingcinema.com is known as
the Film Lovers website.